Hey, y'all. On today's podcast, we have my husband and co-founder of Impacting Recovery Center, Pritchard, and we talk about why we started Impact, why we're doing this podcast, and kind of the experiences we've had so far. So tune in. Thanks. Hey, guys. Welcome to Impacting Recovery Uncensored. I'm your host, Sarah Pritchard. This is a podcast where we dive deep into real, uncensored truths about addiction and recovery and everything in between. No sugarcoating, no judgment, just honest conversations that can help make an impact and lift up the solution. So we're really excited. Let's get started. Today, I'm here with my husband and co-founder of Impact Recovery Center in Birmingham.
Hey, I'm Pritchard. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. Today we really want to talk about kind of how this podcast has come about and, how Impact came about. And so, Adams, I'd love to hear just how Impact, got started. Of course, I know this, but we want to share this with the listeners and all that good stuff.
Yeah. I think that goes along with why we have the podcast too. Maybe we can tie that in later. So Impact really got started because of my experience through going through 17 treatment centers in 8 different states. And there, as we all know, there's a lot of problems in the treatment world, have been for a while. And, I went to some fine places, some top-of-the-line places. I went to some regular places, and kind of every time, would go to a different one or the same one again. It was always kind of like, what's going to be different this time? And we would all go into it with that mindset.
What age were you when you went to treatment the first time?
22. And so going into it with that mindset, how's this going to be different? What's going to be different? And the truth is, the really only difference in kind of like the big box treatment is the facilities, right? Like some of them are a little bit nicer than others, but the curriculum is really all the same no matter where you're going. And so each time I kept going to these places. And what was really happening was my solution to life, which was alcohol and drugs, was getting ripped away from me. And we were myself and my family and everybody in my circle included thought that, like, if he can just go get off the drugs, get off the alcohol, everything's going to be great.
Right, but you didn't know that was your solution at the time.
Correct.
So it was
and neither did they.
Right.
And we all thought it was the problem. And I would get separated. I would do some counseling. I would get presented with some different things. But that was really kind of it. It was kind of like triage. And then it was, to go back out into the world, usually doing some other continuums of care, some sober living, some IOP, where there was, really the same kind of issues there as there were in the treatment bubble. And nothing ever changed. It was kind of like they were trying to keep, now knowing this, they're kind of trying to keep you alive long enough to get to some stuff that maybe could help you in the outside world, right? Like where people could heal. And it's very rare that happens to anybody. And it sure didn't happen to me.
Right. Well, and I think a common misconception with a lot of people, including myself, is if I'm going to treatment or I'm in some sort of program, like that's the priority. And the recovery work or getting in a recovery circle and getting in a network of people that are living this way of life is secondary.
Right.
Where I learned, for me, it had to be the other way around, or I was never going to get anywhere in life.
Yeah. And so towards the end of just that in and out cycle, I got exposed to some stuff that was different, where inside the treatment bubble, they actually had some of the recovery piece in there, and it was some different stuff than I had ever seen before. And then it was all the other regular treatment stuff with it. But there was enough of that to get me to go crave really seeking that out afterwards. And that had ever happened before. And, unfortunately, that place is on its third ownership group, and it's changed. And that's kind of what we see in this world, most everywhere.
Well, that's right when I met you.
Yeah.
When you had I don't even remember how long you had sober at that point, but you were just so excited about recovery and you were so excited about this life. And that was all new to me because I was, fresh out of detox and, doing my own recovery work. And then when I got to know you more, it was just like, oh, this guy is like, still going to football games and concerts. And like, that's really cool because I thought life was going to be a drag. And so I hadn't really been around somebody that was like that super excited.
Yeah. And that was all new to me too. And it was incredible. In that being kind of on that side of it, which is still like really my favorite thing to do today in life, which is to help people for fun and for free in the outside world and through doing so much service work in yourself too. I had this realization that like people are going to go to treatment, but they're not getting what they need in treatment. So why not build a place where it's built around what they need, like what the actual solution is. Build the treatment bubble around that. And so, and Chad, who was on this thing recently, he's the best I know at executing an operation like that. And we had collaborated about it for a while, and he said, you go get it open and I'll come. And that's what we did. And so we built the treatment around the solution, which is the 12 steps, authentic 12 steps, which is really it's kind of hard to find now. And then we added the other components in conjunction with that over time. And that took about we're in our fifth year. It took about 2.5 years to really kind of get it fired on all cylinders and build out the whole continuum. And, I never dreamed it would be like it is now. Like it really is this like magical, effective, incredible place that you can't explain how it came to be. And I still to this day don't really think it had anything to do with me. I think I was just used to go spearhead it. And God took care of the rest.
I agree.
And to not to cut you off, but like kind of to answer your question, like in a lot of this, like what we are is an alternative solution to what's out there in the treatment landscape. And so many people now, we kind of built this thing for the people that have been to treatment so many times and it hadn't worked. And then they come here and they're like, oh my gosh, this hidden gem, I wish I'd known about this sooner.
Right.
And what we're trying to really kind of get going now is like get that messaging out to like the Adams Pritchards of the world from the start.
Yeah.
So that they can come in here and get this first, and then their life is going to change a lot quicker than it would going through the ringer for so long, and then finding out about us and coming and being like, where was this the whole time I was trying to get this?
Yeah. Well, and I don't think, I of course didn't think it would be like it is today either, in a good way. I mean, because we, when we opened, we got our first 2 clients the day after our first son was born. So yeah. It's been a wild ride, but
it all worked out how it was supposed to. It just people always go, how did that just it's not us.
No, it's not, but it's incredible to see because the culture is so different from anything that I have experienced. I think it's just so incredible because it's just like laid back, yet the work they're doing is very intensive and extremely immersive, and they're just kind of all together and they get to experience life in this bubble in a new way. And it's just...
And just how the podcast is, you're basically saying like this is unadulterated, kind of uncut. Like that's what we did in the treatment where we
Right.
cut out all the fluff. And we were able to do that because we don't work with insurance. Not that that's a bad thing, but we're able to do so much more and so much different stuff. Just do the stuff that works without being dictated by insurance. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just such a different, like the feel is so different.
Right. Well, and I think, because I only went to like a residential treatment place one time, so I don't have nearly as much experience as you do with the 17 different treatment centers. But as far as like, that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like, and obviously, I of course know your family; they love you so much, and this is what families go through all the time. Is like, what can we do different this time? So like on treatment number 12 or 13, it's like, why is this going to be different when it wasn't? And so that's, I think, what we're really trying to do here is like give something different if those other options aren't working for you. And, like when you started to get towards the end of that 17 stint, I mean, what was your like thought process? Were you getting, discouraged or, what was going on?
I didn't know. I was just kind of going where I was put. And because this stuff is all the same, that's what we're getting at. And really, and to add the family piece in, that's really the first thing we built with Impact was the 12-step piece, right? And that's never changed. It's always been amazing. Then we had to add the clinical component in with it, which took a while for kind of how we do what we do. And then we finally kind of had that piece of the puzzle that fit in. Then the third thing and last thing that we really had to build was a different family component. Because my family had done family programs literally also in 8 different states, all these different places. And it wasn't bad, but it was the same thing every time. They were really like coming for a weekend or whatever, and they really would just kind of get some education.
Right.
And so what we did was we built something where the families can actually do some intensive work of their own that we're taking them through so that they too can get relief. And to my knowledge, I don't know where that's ever happened before. And that's what the families tell us that are coming through here. We've been everywhere, and we've never seen anything like this. And so they're actually getting to do personal work to get relief. And then the education component that we're coaching them on and teaching them this stuff makes more sense. They're able to connect those dots in a very different way, and they get it. Like the lights come on, the dots connect.
Yeah, well, and it also gets the person that is with us and the family on the same page almost at the same time, almost simultaneously. And so when, our team is giving the family updates or whatever it is, everybody is aligned. And so then when they're actually doing a family session, they can get into some real stuff because they don't have to do all that like intro work and education and all the things. And so it's just like a much more effective way in a short period of time to get some stuff done.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about that alignment. That's such a big piece in all this. And in our world, what we do, like we believe everything's connected, right, on this path that we're on. And, a good friend of ours told me the other day when he was out there and he was meeting with different people on our team, kind of going across the whole board, all whatever you want to call it, levels or whatever. He said, this is, it's so rare, this is really one of the first places he's ever been where the messaging that he's getting from you, me, and Chad is the exact same messaging he gets when he talks to every single employee in every single role. And that, most of what we see in treatment is you talk to, whoever the CEO, and I'm not knocking anywhere, but you talk to the top, the corporate people, and they kind of give you the spin of what this is. And then you start going down the line and it's all different. Yeah. And so it's ineffective. So like we all have to be together, aligned on the same mission to get the best outcomes. And nobody's getting any different messaging anywhere, and neither is the family.
Yeah. And that can be with any company,
Yeah.
But I think what's really cool about that, and I think a big reason why that is because most of our staff are alumni, or a lot
for
of
the
them.
core, that we
Our
that we
recovery
built this
team.
thing with.
Yeah.
And that core has all, done work with Chad and myself, and we're all on the same
Right.
wavelength.
Yeah.
And then it started, and everybody outside of our clinical staff and our overnight staff, yes, is an alumni, and they get it.
Well, and share a little bit about what you mean by, like, obviously you and you and Chad going through the work, but what you mean by everybody kind of like being on the same wavelength, and that, what does that mean?
So everybody has been through the same process, like to recover, to get well.
Mm-hmm.
We've all, nobody's done anything different to get to where they are. And so we all have the same experience.
Right.
And, that's part of like why there's so many in recovery circles outside of treatment, why there's a lot of problems, because it's been this big, long game of telephone for, over all these years, and things have kind of like missing pieces here and there, and it's kind of gotten cut or watered down or whatever you want to call it. So it's unique to have this power center where everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
And it's not confusing for anyone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's super, super unique. And also something that just kind of comes to mind is how we're small.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows us and our team to really truly do individualized work and be able to cater to that individual.
And everybody says that's like the hot buzzword, individualized. And that's where I went every single time. Well, this place is individualized. But like I said, they're all the same. And they're not unique. They're not able to do that. We can, right? And that's what each client really becomes like a part of this family.
Right.
And not only them, their families do too.
Yeah.
And because our intent, most people, now what I've come to find out, the truth about this space is most people today are starting this to go sell it to a private equity company, or it's places that are already kind of being run by private equity company. And I am not knocking that, but our goal, our mission, our vision was to impact treatment and then impact the recovery circles post-treatment. So we are trying to send these guys out like they are fired up to go spearhead change in their communities, to have a big ripple effect for people that they're never going to know who or what we are or what we do, but they're going to get impacted by it somewhere down the line.
Yes.
That's our intent.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never met anyone with the same vision. And it just is, we're on a different path and a different goal than anybody I know. And it's fun. It's fun being different.
Yeah. Well, and I think families don't hear a lot, especially on like the first initial phone call. If they're talking to one of us or our Josh on admissions, we're talking about their loved one already going out and helping other people. And they're like, whoa, like, because we're so excited.
He could never do that, right? But that's why he's not okay.
Right. And I get it, right? Because that was me. I remember being told, Sarah, you got to go help people. I'm like, help? I need help. Look at my life. But that is the whole point of this.
And we
thing.
need purpose. We need purpose. We need connection, and that's how you get it.
Right. And why else would we have this thing if it's not to help somebody else with it?
And outside of this, like the way I kind of live my life now is I really don't believe you, me, people in our little circles should still be breathing. I just don't. It doesn't make sense from all that we've been through. So the fact that we are still here drawing breath means there's some kind of purpose for our life, right? And once we go through this process that we keep talking about, you get in touch with that purpose, you get in line with that, and you're going to go execute it, which all it is just to go help people. And as a result of doing that, like our life transforms. But really, when you really kind of get aligned with that ideology, it's that we are living in the bonus round. So what do I have to be afraid of? Nothing. And that carries over into all aspects of our life. And that, to me, is such a gift.
Yeah. And what's so cool also on our team is like everybody feels that same way.
Yeah.
And it's just walking examples for these guys coming in of like, hey, you can have a great life. Like, this is actually amazing. And that's really what we want to make known is it's not going to be a drag of a life or, whatever I thought for sure, but that it's great. It's amazing. You can go do all the things. And that's, again, when I met you, I'm like, wow, this guy is like super excited. And
I had never, how you're describing your, what you kind of felt and saw when you met me. I saw that in some other people for the first time in my life after going through this for so many years, and you can just like feel it, you can see it. You're like, I want some of that. And so that's what's happening is these people that come through here, they're getting pulled in with this, they can see like, I want to do that too. And it's possible. And look at these people. And that's what, then they can get to the other side. Because for so long, all the people that I was around in these treatment and then post-treatment recovery circles, the only thing different, and I'm not knocking anybody, but it's just like the only difference in their life was that they didn't have substances in their system anymore. And it was just so dull. And that is not what this is about. Like that alcohol and drug problem gets removed so quickly, and then this becomes about us going out into the world and being lights and enjoying life. And that's what people are drawn to, and that's such a big difference because most people just don't understand that and they miss it. And it's so unfortunate.
Well, and how cool is it to see these guys that come back around? And I mean, we just recently had an alumni event and we get to see these guys come back with their families and their parents or children and bring everybody, and it's this big fun thing. And it is, I mean, every year I'm brought to tears. Yeah. It is just the most incredible thing to experience.
And they're out there doing that to other people in the free world.
Yeah.
And to me is like the coolest thing on the planet. And it's so powerful. I think it's about one of the most powerful things that like we can experience as a human being. You can't put that into words.
Yeah.
And then when families get to see that for their loved ones, it's the same thing for them, even if they don't have this disease that we have.
Right.
It's just such a demonstration of power that people are drawn to the awareness of that power of God, and they're just like, wow.
Yeah. Well, and also, talking about families, your mother obviously went through a lot, and she actually does a group out there. Her and I do it together. Sometimes she'll go, sometimes I go, but we'll talk about it from the loved one standpoint, and that is so helpful for the men to hear that because a lot of times or most times the addict or alcoholic is just focused on themselves and like, I'm only hurting myself, or, everyone's mad at me and my life's in shambles. And that all is probably very true. But we tend to forget the impact we have on the people that we love the most. And it's such a great group. I love doing that group because you can see when, the tear rolls down their face, or they're, the wheels are turning, or the light bulb goes off, and then they talk to us after and they're like, I haven't thought about that in that way, or, talk to your mom, like, you remind me so much of my mom. I want to call her. And it's such a, like you were saying, it's such like a tight-knit community, and like they are a part of our family. I mean, these guys that come through, they become family. We all become friends. We all hang out. We all, we all just care about each other so much, and it's rare to find that.
Yeah, and it's just that's who we are. We all do this, we're all of us, doesn't matter who it is, teach groups, do stuff, right. And there's nothing missing, and that's what's talking about, other people out there that are these cheerleaders, we travel a lot for this. Doesn't matter what city we're in. We can call somebody up that's been through here and hang out with them and go see them, wherever they are. And it's just, it's so cool.
Yeah. And I mean, because we originally, or not, I think we probably thought maybe we would get a few people here and there and not from around here, but it really has now become where we get guys from all over the country rather than just like this small little local thing that we were going to start. And now it's just blossomed, just like you were saying.
Is the biggest surprise. We really thought we were going to try to really impact this local community, and what it's turned into is this really national hidden gem.
Right.
And it just so happens to be here in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
And people from all, it doesn't matter. We have CEOs come through here. We have, 27-year-old that hadn't finished school yet, and the solution is the same for them all. And this thing is so faceless. It all looks, it just looks. You can take the people out. It all looks the same.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, as far as like what you least expected to come out of this, what do you think that is?
Probably the national reach.
Yeah.
And the type of, people that come through here. I had no idea that it was going to be like, these really, really prominent figures in the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, for me, I think it's just like, just how everything has unfolded so naturally and organically, like with just how everything has kind of panned out and grown, and it really is like we're not doing it.
And it doesn't make sense, and
right.
That's what, because like the way that we operate, people, no, you're crazy, that'll never work. Not only has it worked, it's booming. And the work that we're doing here is actually effective.
Well, and then, of course, I have to ask, how do you like working with your wife?
It's amazing. I get to work with my wife and my hero.
Oh.
And my two heroes, I don't think many people can say that.
Well, and, I was thinking about our first date that we had. You told me you wanted to open up a recovery program or a treatment center. And I was like, that is really neat. But it just goes to show you have been thinking about this for like a very long time.
I just, so many people always seem to say like around this stuff, like, God, I wish I'd have changed this. I wish I'd have done this differently. I would not change one thing in my life. It all happened just how it was supposed to put me in a position to do this. This is what I believe I was supposed to do, with my life. And had it not all happened the way it was supposed to, I wouldn't be in this position. And, what we're going out here to do now is like, there's no reason that people shouldn't be able to get to the other side of this thing quicker. Mm-hmm. And so now, here we are, this alternative approach to this stuff so that people can get on to painting their masterpiece quicker. They got more time to do whatever they're supposed to do.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I always say to families is like the goal is so they can get back out to life and like go live life and go do the fun things that you want to do.
And truly be present and experience them and bring joy to so many other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And the ripple effect that has on, of course, the individual, but on their families, on their coworkers, on their friends, on their employers. I mean, the list goes on and on. Anyone that has touched that individual's life, their lives are changed. And then so they get to experience that, and then they get to go help someone do that with their own life. And it's just like the most fulfilling thing that I didn't know existed. And until you actually get a taste of it and experience it, kind of like you were saying, when you finally got exposed and you're like, it was just enough to get you excited to go out there. When someone finally experiences it, then it's like, oh, that's what everybody's talking about. Like, that's okay. This is very different than the way I've been experiencing life for so long.
Yeah.
And it is hard to put into words sometimes, but I think we're just like super, super blessed with all this.
Yeah. And that's really why we're doing this, starting to do some, this is the last thing on earth. You know me, like I don't like podcasts. I don't like social media. I don't like any of it. But in today's world, like everybody that comes through here, I would say, 95% of them are like, man, the world needs to know about this place. Like y'all have to get this message out there.
Yes.
And we really, I didn't really know how to do that. And then finally some people came into our lives that are like, hey, here's how you do it. And so I'm here for somebody else. I'm not here for myself.
Yep.
The people that come through here are supposed to come, you know. And we've kind of worked with that all along. And if this is what we're supposed to do for somebody different to hear this, even if they don't come here, like that's what we're here doing today.
Yeah.
For you, not for us.
Right. I mean, that's what I was thinking about when this morning. I was like, if this podcast helps one person, that is enough. And now I'm going to get emotional about it. But that is really the reason why we're doing this, because families and people are so misguided, not by bad intentions, but just it's so painful to watch and hear it over and over and over. And so that's really, what we're doing here is we just want to help. We want to let, what we're doing be known. And if somebody is a good fit to be able to get better, we would love to help. I mean, we would not be sitting here if someone didn't help us. And and so, I think you are definitely out of your comfort zone. I'm out of my comfort zone. I've never been on a podcast either, but I think it's going to be great, and I'm excited, and we have a lot to share, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I think this is just right up our alley for what God has in store for us. So there you go. But yeah, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Oh, and I mean that's you told me this a long time ago. Like we were brought together for some kind of reason. It has nothing to do with you and me, and that's what it is, to go to team up, and then we have our third wheel, Chad, like this family to get connected to go do something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Impacting Recovery Uncensored. I hope today's conversation has inspired you, opened your mind, maybe even your heart, or given you a sense of hope. But remember, you're not alone. But if you found this episode helpful, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social so you never miss an episode. But until next time, keep healing, keep making an impact. Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.